hi there, my name is Ryan King, and I'm here to inform you today about how to service a lawnmower. Now you might be asking yourself though, Ryan, how are you capable of telling us how to service a lawnmower? What do you really know about them? Well, I know quite a bit about how to service a lawnmower because I've been mowing my entire life. I started mowing when I was around 6 or 7 years old, helping my dad out, and I know quite a bit about them. A few years ago, I worked for a school district in Great Bend, Kansas, where I mowed from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. every single day. So I know how to cut good grass. I know everything about how a mower works, all the way from zero turn mowers to just little push mowers. So I know quite a bit about it. So I'm here today to inform you how to service a lawnmower. Now, according to lawncareadvice.com, there are two ways to service a lawnmower. There is a seasonal lawn care service, but there is also a regular lawn care service. With the service lawn care, that's really something you do once a year. I would personally recommend doing it at the beginning of the year before you start mowing for the season. That's everything. It's just better to do the season at the very beginning of the summer. And now the regular one is typically one you want to do after every single use of the mower. Just make sure that's ready to go for the next time that you use the mower. Now, right here, I'm going to talk to you about the regular lawnmower service. Basically, these are the things you want to do after each time you use the mower. You want to do these things. You really want to make sure you hose down the mower after every single use. You want to hose it down, make sure all the grass is out of there, so it's all clean and ready to go. And next time you use it, because if it gets up and dirty like that, it builds up over time, and the grass you mow, it won't look as good. It will look uneven, unbalanced, and so you really want to make sure that it's cleaned up around each time you use it. What you also want to do is you want to make sure it's completely dry before you put the mower away for the week or however long until you mow again. It's really nice because if it's still wet when you put it away, corrosion can possibly happen, and it's just better really to make sure it's completely dry before you put it away for the season. Another thing you want to make sure you do is to check the air filter. This really helps with the mowing in general, and it helps with the engine running. So it's really just nice to make sure that to check the air filter and if you have like an air compressor, you can easily clean the air filter. You just blow it off with the air compressor. Should be good to go for the next time that you use it. Now the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is the seasonal lawnmower service. Now there are a few things you want to do with the seasonal that I personally do myself. The first thing you want to do is always make sure you're cleaning the mower. Cleaning the mower is one thing. You have to clean your mower. If you want to cut good grass, you have to clean your mower. Now what you want to do is you want to raise up the mower and really scrape out all the grass under there, so it's all clean and ready to go. And you also want to take the blades off and sharpen them at least once a year. You don't have to do it every single time you use a mower, but at least once a year you want to sharpen those blades, because really, I mean, obviously, if you have dual blades, it's not going to cut as cleanly and neatly as you would prefer. So it's nice to really sharpen the blades. Another thing you want to do each year is you want to change the oil, because really, after a whole summer of the same oil, and then it sits for about 10 months, give or take. And so you really need to change the oil. Generally, I would recommend at the beginning of the season before you even start mowing for the season. Another thing you want to do is just check the spark plugs and grease and oil points. This is just make sure that the mower is in top good shape. You don't want to have this brand new mower and just let it go and not worry and not do anything about it. You want to make sure that the mower is good to go, and that you're taking care of it, because this is a high dollar machine, and it can hurt you if it's starts malfunctioning. Obviously, it's an engine and it has blades. It can easily hurt you. So you want to make sure that everything is good to go for whenever you're ready to start mowing. Now here I'm gonna show you a few tools that you will need when you're servicing a lawnmower. The first one I have on the list is ramps and lift. And this part of it has to do with when you're cleaning under the mower. Say you have a large zero-turn mower and you need to clean under the deck of it. You need to scrape out all the grass and everything. Now, one way you can do this is to have some sort of ramps, and you can drive the front two wheels up the ramps of it and put a block behind the back tire, and so it won't roll back, and you can really get down there and scrape all the grass and everything. So that's what I like to do. The second thing I have on this is wrench and socket wrench. Would you want these when you're taking off the blades of the mower to go sharpen them, or really just when you take them off so you can clean better on there? You will need some kind of socket wrench or any kind of wrench to get those blades off. And the next thing I have that is on the list that actually also has to do with sharpened blades is a grinder. Really, that's all you need is to be able to sharpen blades. You need a grinder and like a vise to be able to grind the blades. So I mean, it's really pretty simple to grind the blades. And lubricant spray, you don't necessarily need lubricant spray. This is something I personally put on here myself. The lubricant spray, basically after you clean up under the deck, you put the blades back on after you've sharpened them and everything. I like to spray this lubricant up there. It really just helps so that the least amount of grass sticks to the deck of the mower, and it really will help you out long term. So the next time that you clean, there won't be nearly as much as it would be if you didn't have any on there. And then the last thing I have on the list is an oil filter wrench. And because when you change the oil each year, you want to also change the oil filter, and sometimes those oil filters are really hard to take off with your hand because they tighten pretty good. And here's actually a picture of an oil filter wrench. Pretty easy to use. You just clamp it on the oil filter, twist it, it comes right off. So they're not too difficult to use really. Now here are some steps on how to change the oil, and I found these on TractorSupply.com. They recommend these 4 steps. Step 1 is to place an oil stick container underneath the mower. This can be anything from a bucket, even Walmart sells actual containers that are made for oil when you're draining oil, and basically you just want to slide this under the mower wherever the oil spout is. You want it so it will drain right into the bucket, because obviously you can't just have oil go spread in the environment. That's bad for the environment, and so you have to be very careful what you do with oil. And now the second thing you want to do is to open the oil plug. And this you can use your hands. You can use small set of pliers, really. Anything to really open it up and just let it drain. And it will depending on how large the mower is. It could take up to 5 to 10 minutes for all the oil to drain out. And you really want all the oil to drain completely out. And it can take, depending on the size of the mower, it can take quite a while. Now while the oil is draining, you can actually start on step 3, which is to replace the oil filter. You want to use the oil filter wrench to take off the old oil filter, and you'll want to dispose of that. But you need to dispose of it in a good way, because the oil filter obviously has oil in it, and that can't just be thrown away into your regular trash. So you need to dispose of it in a proper way, and then you'll just put on a new oil filter. And when you put on the new oil filter, you will want to put a little bit of oil around the ring of the filter, and so it's nice and lubricated when you're putting it on there. And when you're putting on the oil filter, actually, you don't need to tighten it too much. Just make it snug, because actually the filter will tighten by itself while the mower is running, and that's also a word of thumb for whether you're changing oil for a lawnmower, a car, even a bus. You don't need to tighten it super tight, because as the engine is running, it will tighten itself. So you don't need to make it super tight. And obviously the last thing you want to do is step 4 is to refill the engine with oil. I mean, obviously you want to put however much oil. It varies. It really varies on what size of mower you're using. If you have a little push mower, it's not gonna be a whole lot. If it's a large 0-turn lawnmower, it's gonna take quite a bit more. And I personally, I would add a 5th step on here that they didn't add on their list, and that is to before you run the mower, wait at least 10 minutes before you start the mower. Just make sure that all the oil drained all the way back into the engine and start circulating, because you don't want to start it right after you start putting oil in, because obviously the oil hasn't had time to make its way through the engine and the motor and everything. So you want to make sure that that's thoroughly all the way down through it, and so you won't have any problems when you go to mow. And another thing, actually, I didn't make a slide for this one, but another thing about how to sharpen the blade. When you sharpen the blades, you can use a socket wrench, anything to take off the blades, and you will want, and they're pretty heavy, and they can be sharp sometimes, not always, but you want to be careful on that part of it. And when you go to sharpen them, you put them in a vice grip, and you get any kind of grinder, like this one right here. It's a basic grinder. You don't need anything fancy when you're grinding them. And you just go back and forth. It's pretty easy to use. And that's basically everything I have for that part of it. And it's pretty simple to service a lawnmower. So thank you for listening, and have a fantastic